brother when he was younger than me, my best friend when I was 10, the first girl who wasn't enough, the first girl I ever loved. Where are they now?
My father was a soldier. He was also a filmmaker, but not the kind you're thinking. When he died at the ripe old age of 70, he left behind over 100 reels of 8mm film, taken mostly in the 1940s. It was filled with the usual: family trips, celebrations, everyday experiences, going to the beach, blown kisses, my dramatic and sparkling mother, my older sister. My dad was a young kid from a tiny town in Texas when he joined the military at 17 in 1937, lying about his age. While stationed in Shanghai, he met and married my mom, the daughter of Russian Jews living in China since the late 1920s. Needless to say, he had some explaining to do when he brought her home. If you've ever looked at an old photograph or a piece of film from the early 1900s, you may have found yourself wondering who all those people were, what they wanted out of life, the dreams they chased, the jokes they told, the excitement and chaos of being alive at that time. As the years went by, I often got my father's old films out and threaded them through our projector, inadvertently breaking off a little more brittle footage each time. I finally digitized the entire collection. They're the last link to a past that only exists in my memory. But I'm not the only one. There are literally hundreds of thousands of home movies, as they're called, fast asleep in the vast stretches of the public domain. They offer an exhilarating glimpse into a time gone by, the extraordinary within the ordinary. If you look closely enough, you'll find the link between past and present, youth and old age, and an all too familiar sense of time moving too quickly. All of it present in what we still call our home movies.
See right through you, but we had things you could not see. We were moving pictures, we had history.
There has always been a singular thread running through the lives of everyday people. Despite the endless onslaught of historical change, imposed or chosen, the old familiar images remain. The young couple, writing the first chapter of the Book of Us, moving through the camera's eye with an exuberance only youth could provide. The older folks, moving slower with the weight of experience. Kids, friends, dogs, the stylish clothes, the classic automobiles, the quick look back, the walk along the water's edge, the disappearing light, all of life's minutiae stretching in all directions, never ending. And there were letters too, scribbled in careful longhand and sent on their way like birds, disappearing into a constant distance. The longing to connect and converse turned into an everyday art form, available to anyone who missed someone else and needed a way to express it. One such letter was written in Pierre, South Dakota, by Elsa to her grandmother on August 6, 1913.
Dear Aunt Carrie, I have just about 40 minutes before Dad comes to thank you for the lovely spoon you sent me for a graduation present. It is such a pretty pattern, and one can never have too many silver spoons. Thank you so much. I received some lovely gifts for my graduation. Mama's two sisters sent me a lovely dress, Grandpa Phillips a check for $3, Aunt Helen gave me my gloves, and two friends in Columbus a silver spoon. But the thing that surprised me the most was a white lace fan from Mrs. Robbins. I never expected anything from her. But then, the unexpected always happens. The commencement went off very well and everyone said we looked very nice. It is just about lunchtime, so I think I had better stop. With best love for all the family, and yourself included, lovingly, Elsa.
And another from Josiah Timmons, Jr., Opelika, Alabama, April 16, 1911.
Thanks for the money you sent me on my birthday. I used it to buy a mitt with. I used to catch, but now I play second base. The reason for me making the change was this. One day I was catching behind the bat, trying to take them off, like I saw one of the big league catchers doing when he was down here on the training trip. I got too close, I reckon, for the first thing I knew, the boys were pouring water on my head, and I had a bad lamp for a week. No more catching for yours truly, your loving nephew, Josiah Timmons, Jr.
And one more from Julia Scott in Indianapolis, Indiana, on May 14th, 1907, to her Aunt Laura in California.
Dear Aunt Laura, as California is so far away and I write you so few letters, I feel I should make up for lost time and tell you all that happens. Since you visited us the last time, we've been to Lake Chautauqua to spend 2 summers. Father's business made it necessary for him to go, and Mother and I went with him. If I were asked to describe the place, I would say it in all these words. It is the place to enjoy yourself. We certainly enjoyed ourselves, for there was nothing to do but sit on the beach and go boat riding. Last summer, Father accepted a position in Indianapolis. He came here immediately, but Mother and I stayed in Springfield. Before coming here, we visited friends in Cleveland for 2 weeks. We went to the lakeshore several times, and for the first time I went swimming, or rather I tried to swim. Grandmother forwarded your last letter, and we were glad when we received it a few days ago. We all join in thanking you for your invitation to spend the summer with you, and we'll let you know if we decide to go. Hoping to hear from you again soon. I am, yours lovingly, Julia Scott.
There is a sense of continuity at the core of these flickering images that all point to an unknown future, even as they paint such vivid pictures of their own era. And nothing expresses this more intimately, with more power, than the faces and the familiar, timeless energy of children.
When you're young, the world is true. The sun is out, the sky is blue. The willow trees you walk among speak to you when you're young. When you're young, the world is flat. When you're young, you see it like that.
Looking at the images of children, it's hard to keep in mind that they could be our grandparents or great-grandparents. Short educational films of the day, looking like home movies themselves, tried in their own way to capture some of the more timeless aspects of childhood. Here's one example.
By the time your child is a year old, clean habits may begin to form. The purpose of the pot begins to become clear. There is something to be done, and he feels more comfortable afterwards.
And here an example of how attitudes regarding parenting skills might have changed in subtle and not so subtle ways.
One thing children can't realize is that parents naturally have a life of their own, purely personal interests which just can't be shared. To you, the children are certainly a big part of family life, but not the whole of it. To them, Mummy and Daddy are everything.
These home movies shine a light into the authentic and independent world of children. Their honesty, temporary innocence, sudden sweep of emotion. There's a timelessness about it, in spite of its fleeting and disappearing nature. Life in its purest form, and it's worth taking a longer look from our distant vantage point. There is a certain Alice in Wonderland feeling when you're young. Nothing what it seems. Arrows pointing in all directions. Everything ahead of you. These glimpses into childhoods gone by are both remote and familiar. In some faces, the hardship that lies ahead. In others, the comfort of security and affection. And yet these children, like all children, could not escape the lunacy of adult life.
Now, we must be ready for a new danger, the atomic bomb. First, you have to know what happens when an atomic bomb explodes. You will know when it comes. We hope it never comes, but we must get ready. It looks something like this. There is a bright flash, brighter than the sun, brighter than anything you've ever seen. If you were not ready and did not know what to do, it could hurt you in different ways. It could knock you down hard or throw you against a tree or a wall. It is such a big explosion, it can smash in buildings and knock signboards over and break windows all over town. But if you duck and cover like Bert, you will be much safer.
Luckily for them and us, what they were preparing for didn't happen, at least to them, and a sense of normality resumed and continued with all the trappings and traditions of life as we know it, ending always with a sense of giving and the promise of a new year to come.
When you're young, everything shines. You get to walk on crooked lines. The dark is just where stars are hung, and nothing more. When you're young, the world is flat. When you're young, you see it like that. Once there was a time I did not know you. Everything I touched was made of steel. Living on the other side of glory, walking down that boulevard of dreams.
The more home movies you watch, the more one thing becomes clear. The real stars of these films are women, whether in the company of children or husbands, with one another, or in tandem, or alone, conforming or performing, from a distance, or close up. The men behind the cameras seem as mesmerized by these images as anyone might be who would be watching them 100 years later. A letter from Maud to Laura on August 10, 1913, is filled with the kind of detail of daily life that still sounds familiar today.
Hampton Beach, Massachusetts, August 10th, 1913. My dear Laura, our simple Sunday supper is over and Em and I have finished the dishes. We had French toast, which I made, and if I do say it, it was very good. While I'm resting, I'm going to write to you, for I'm a bit tired. Em and I went to church this morning, heard a very good sermon, and some excellent music. We have a quartet of male voices, and I certainly do enjoy their singing. Tomorrow, Monday, I always dread a little. I don't like to gather soiled clothing together, but we don't have as much here as at home. We have lots of fun, but I am afraid I will not be sorry to give up housekeeping duties. 4 weeks from tomorrow, we go back to school. We have met a lot of nice people here. One girl I like very much, and I know you would too. She is so interesting. She has been to lots of places and has had such experiences. She lost her mother 2 years ago, and since then, she has lived with her aunt when she isn't traveling with her father. I know you would like this girl as much as I do, if you only knew her too. It is getting too dark to see, so I must stop and take a walk down the beach before going to bed. Emma's going with me. I thought of you on August 8th, and I hope the day was a happy one. Affectionately, Maud.
I'm walking on the ocean floor.
It's all here. The spirit,
Walking
the high
where
kick,
it is no
the affection, the strength, the spunk,
the faded shell,
the shine and the grace
the century
of women.
I do what I please. I walk in the shade of suburban trees. I covet no man. Those in the dark will not understand. I am walking a straight line. I am taking a straight line. Out for a walk. I am walking a straight line.
Bookended by 2 world wars, the men in these home movies covered a lot of ground. They were usually behind the cameras. But there's plenty of film depicting the camaraderie, the casual cigarette, the easy humor, the look into the distance, fatherhood, as well as those with the serious business of life etched into faces with no time to kill. We see the sportsman, the dancer, the gardener, the lover, the waver, and inevitably, the young soldier.
It's a long way to your love. It's a long way to get there.
And now a letter from a young soldier to his wife and young child.
December 20th, 1943. My darling wife and sweet baby. It's so close to Christmas, and I feel so alone. I can't tell you just where I am. It would be censored anyway. All I can say, I'm riding down in a trench, and it's so cold, hard to see, and all the noise of planes and other warfare all around me is deafening. I love the outline from paper of our baby you sent so I can see how she has grown. She was just 2 weeks old when I had to leave you both. I carry it and your beautiful pictures in my shirt close to my heart. I can't get all the love I feel for you both in this female letter. It is too small. I'm praying soon I can hold you both in my arms. All my love and kisses. Your loving husband.
In between the wars, life went on in a most familiar way, documented by the new movie cameras, capturing the life they knew and the people that mattered to them.
You and I are together now. You and I in it for the long run. Eye to eye till the final bow. We won't be this young for long. We won't be this young for long.
And so it was an era of self-discovery through the camera's eye, and much like our own, a time of peace and violence, youth and old age, hope and despair. Beginnings and endings. They left behind a permanent record filled with the stuff of life itself, and it's all still there, breathing, shimmering, illuminating, and utterly alive in the ghostly images and sounds of home movies.
Now my first steel